Hello and welcome to the Mum Boss Method podcast, where my dog is currently chasing flies around my very small office. If you hear a bang, crash and a wallop anytime soon, that's because he's knocked everything over. Anyway, happy Monday, happy June. How are you? I hope you're well. You're joining me today for a Mum Boss at Home community check-in. This is where all the ladies in my community fill in a check-in form. They let me know how their week's gone, what's gone well, what are their non-scale victories, what do they need my help with, and we go through them and I help them on this podcast. And if you're listening to this and you're not in the community, this is here to help you as well. If you want to be in the community, check the links in the show notes because I would love to have you and help you. And so would the other ladies. So as always, we start with wins. Let's go. So Laura had her lovely nephew over for the weekend. They absolutely love having him, but when they do, routine and sleep go out of the window. So this is the first time since starting my program that she's not been making her best effort. I don't know that that's a win. I've got more to say on this anyway, because Laura, my love, is a bit of a perfectionist. So we're going to talk about this in a little while. But I am so pleased actually that you weren't able to be perfect and that you spent time with your nephew. So well done. Hannah had self-control when sent an enormous box of Hotel Chocolat as a thank you from a client. Okay, I've got so much to say about this. So Hotel Chocolat is my favourite ridiculously expensive chocolate, and 2 weekends ago my husband got given a box at my son's end of season football party. He got given a box as a thank you. This box is 2 trays worth of chocolates and he knows it's my absolute favourite. So well done, Hannah, for having self-control. This is where we play the game of how long can we make the chocolates last. Now, the good thing I think about Hotel Chocolat is it's quite rich, isn't it? You can't eat loads and loads and loads of it in one go. Well, I know I couldn't anyway. There probably was a time that I could have, but you can't eat an absolute ton of it in one go. So this is where you set aside, enough calories to maybe have one a day and really, really enjoy that. That's what I do when I'm having some of this Hotel Chocolat, have it with a cup of tea, and I really try and make, my favourite are just the simple chocolate batons. I'm not fussy. I just like them to be simple chocolate. And I try and make that last 3 bites with my cup of tea. Love it. Emma is finding the gym is going well and she got a new leg press personal best. Well done, Emma. Claire ate well with lots of exercise in spite of half term. So it's just been half term for most of us. So those of my clients that are in Scotland, not for you. But for most of us, we've just had half term. It is always so much more challenging during a school holiday because, as you might have guessed from the title of this podcast, I work with mums. So always much harder, less routine. So well done. Lisa wore shorts all day on Sunday and even went to boot camp in shorts and she felt great. Another win that she's noticing, she's managing to complete the full 60 seconds of exercise without having to stop at boot camp. And one more thing, she's gone up to 10 kilogram kettlebells for her swings. Well done, Lisa. Tracy got better sleep due to her son starting to stay in his bed at night. It's only taken 8 years. I'm loving that for you, Tracy. Tish hit her step target every day. Well done, Tish. Stacey enjoyed a week off, a couple of days away with plenty of walking and an unplanned day out in London. Jack had a lovely time away at the start of the week with no signal and no devices, which she found bliss. Her shorts are too big. They certainly are. She sent pictures of that in the group, and she's been sensible but not restrictive while she was away. Soph has had a lovely weekend with lots of family time without going off the rails. Well done, Soph. Jackie has had another week of healthy eating patterns and Steph was on holiday until Wednesday, and it was the first time in years that she wore a bikini on holiday and didn't feel super self-conscious. She felt so much happier and confident in herself in general, and also while she enjoyed her holiday experience and had what she wanted food drink wise, she noticed her choices looked so different to previous holidays, and she didn't return from holiday feeling like she'd overindulged and still felt good in herself. That is amazing. That is what I want for you when you go on holiday. You know, we work hard for our holidays, we look forward to them, and that's amazing, but there's nothing worse than going on holiday for a week, 2 weeks, however long, and coming back just feeling, you know, like you've overindulged, like you don't want to wear your regular clothes and that you have to hide away. Holidays are to be enjoyed, absolutely, but you want to enjoy the whole thing, not just the first 5 days and then have to hide yourself because you've eaten too much. Well done, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to just start with this one. Why can't I find the start of the question? There it is. Okay, I think what you will say is don't let food ruin these good times, that I should enjoy family time and draw a line, but I'm tempted to try and eat less this week to compensate for my couple of days of extra food, but I think you will say no to this. Okay, I'm just going to be really, really blunt because I've talked a lot about this. Yep, I will say absolutely no. Go and listen to last week's podcast again. If you're in an overall calorie deficit, you will lose body fat. Okay, so start looking, this is for everyone, start looking at your calorie allowance as your calorie ranges as an overall weekly range. If you are in an overall calorie deficit, even if that's only a 2,000 calorie deficit as opposed to the 3,000, 3,500 calorie deficit that I've given you, you will still lose body fat, okay? It might be that it will be that you lose slightly less body fat, that your progress will be slower. But here's what I want to say to this person in particular and anyone else who keeps going to want to over restrict because they have, you know, overindulged a bit 1 week, okay? If you continue to this cycle of binging and restricting, it will not bring you long-lasting results, nor the change in mindset that you so desperately need and that got you here in the first place. So this particular person has come from a super, super restrictive diet. Two different types of super restrictive dieting, super restrictive food time restricted eating of only at points allowing themselves a 4-hour eating window, and then doing the fast 800, which is where you only allow yourself 800 calories. This person lost a lot of weight doing both of those things, but then stopped and subsequently has put on a lot of the weight that they lost and is now working with me and finally losing the body fat in a healthy and sustainable way. Okay, the reason your super restrictive plans in the past did not work for you long term is because you did not learn how to eat within your lifestyle. You did not learn how to eat in a balanced way across the week. You either know super restrictive or overindulging. And actually looking at how you've been eating since working with me, there are no big red flags of super overindulgence. There's been a couple of days here or there where you've gone out for meals or dinner and drinks or enjoyed yourself with family across certain days, but there is nothing where you have gone hundreds and hundreds and hundreds over your maintenance calories, let alone your calorie deficit calories. Please hear this. Anyone who has come from a super restrictive diet, in fact, everyone, please hear this. The work I do with my clients is absolutely, if they have a fat loss goal, is helping them to achieve that fat loss goal. The real work, I can help you achieve the fat loss goal. And really, that's the easiest bit. The real work, the hardest work, is helping you to understand how to implement that way of eating, not a calorie deficit, because you cannot stay in a calorie deficit for the rest of your life, because you will die. You can't continue to lose fat for the rest of your life. If you've got another 40, 50 years of living, you cannot lose roughly a pound a week for the next 40 or 50 years. You won't live. The real work, the real piece of this is about changing your mindset away from I must be perfect. I must not eat over my calories. I must not eat this. I must only eat that. I must be good. I must not be bad. This is the real work. The calorie deficit, losing the fat, is actually the easiest bit. Changing your mindset is the hardest bit. Okay, no to restricting after a weekend of, quite frankly, because I've looked, a little bit of extra food. It's not overindulgence. It's extra food. That's normal. That's life. So you need to come out of this all or nothing. I must be perfect. You are achieving results. I have clients working with me who are being nowhere near perfect and achieving results. And that sets them up for long-term, sustainable and healthy weight management. Not even fat loss, weight management. Once you learn how to live your life within balance of what you're eating and drinking, balance, i.e. staying the same as what you are within a few pounds, that is where you want to get to. So stop worrying about the few extra calories you might have had and start focusing on, right, that was what that week looked like. Let's move on to the next week. Draw a line, move on onto it. No restriction, no banning ourselves from things, no berating ourselves for not being perfect. You do not have to have perfect weeks. There's no such thing as perfect weeks. The clients that get the best, most long-term results with me are the clients that do not have perfect weeks. I shared some social media posts of one of my one-to-one clients the other day. In 4 weeks, never mind what she's lost on the scales, but in 4 weeks, if you look at those pictures of the changes in her body, that is on 4 weeks. She has not had a perfect 4 weeks. She's had days where she didn't track. She's had days where she's gone over. She has drunk some alcohol. She has had days where her baby just isn't sleeping, so she cannot barely move because she's so tired. I want you to not be perfect, because that's what's going to set you up for real life. That's what's going to set you up for this being sustainable and long term. I need you to stop focusing on the fat loss and being perfect, and just focus on ticking the boxes, as many of them as possible, as many days as possible, because that will instill you into healthy habits long term. And it's the healthy habits, not the counting calories, it's the healthy habits, learning about how much to eat, that will set you up long term. Okay, that was a bit of a rant. Right, next. So my plan for the busy week ahead was to continue to focus on what I can do. I had 2 non-negotiables, but I think I could have done more, if I'm honest with myself. I reflected when doing my plan for next week, and I think I gave myself the excuse that it was a busy week when I actually planned for it and gave myself too much slack. Okay, this is an interesting point. I love that you planned, particularly for busy weeks, but sometimes we do give ourselves too much slack, and only you know the answer to that. And the fact that you've reflected on it shows me that you you feel like you were probably a bit too soft on yourself. So the question to ask yourselves am I being too realistic, or am I making room for excuses? Okay, and that's where I would go. I want to build on what I've been doing and add some workouts in, as well as focusing on steps. I'm going to order heavier dumbbells. Could you please advise me on what size weights I should be using at this stage? I don't want to overdo it, but equally I want to push myself a bit more to tone and build muscle. So I specifically asked this client what size dumbbell she has, and she has 2 kilogram dumbbells. Okay, so if you are someone who is working out from home, I want you to challenge yourself with the weights that you are doing. If you are one of my clients and you are doing workouts from home and you are still using 3 or 4 kilogram dumbbells that we were using back in January, I know you're stronger than that. It's time to get on Amazon and order yourself a new pair of dumbbells. Okay, so here's what I would say. You need, if you can afford to get 2 sets of dumbbells, please get 2 sets of dumbbells. I would consider a light pair, and believe me, sometimes light is what I need to use, as an absolute minimum of 3 kilograms, but most of you could be using 4 or 5, okay? 4 or 5 kilogram dumbbells for light work. That would be things like lateral raises, tricep work to begin with, but I would also expect you to be able to get stronger quite quickly with those. But some of the smaller muscles that we use when we do things like front raises and lateral raises, they do require smaller weights, so absolute minimum of 3 kilograms, but I would prefer you to order yourself 4 kilograms or 5 kilograms and be able to do less reps to begin with, rather than do 3 kilograms and then be able to smash that within a couple of weeks and those 3 kilogram weights be useless. So 4 or 5 kilograms is what I would consider a light pair of dumbbells. A medium pair of dumbbells would be between 5 and 8 kilograms. Now I'm able to say this because I roughly know the strength of most of my clients. If you're listening to this and you are not one of my clients, you may be stronger than this, or you may be more at the beginning of your journey. So you need to take this as a bit of a guidance. So a medium pair of dumbbells would be between 5 kilograms and 8 kilograms, and you're wanting to use those for things like chest, back, shoulders, arms, okay? And then we want to be looking at heavier dumbbells, and this is particularly for your lower body, okay? And that is anything from 8 onwards. I've put 8 to 12 in my notes, but you could go even heavier, okay? At home, I just have up to 10 kilograms because I use the gym 3 times a week. So when I'm working out with you guys, I also can't use much heavier than 10 kilograms for my lower body because I need to be able to talk whilst I'm teaching. But in the gym, I would be using much heavier weights for my lower body than 12 kilograms. But for the kind of workouts we do, anything 8, 10, 12 would be good. So think about what you can specifically invest in. For this client in particular, I would really push yourself and go for at least a set of 5 kilogram dumbbells. And if you can stretch to 2 pairs, then I would also push yourself into getting yourself a heavier set, so maybe an 8 kilograms. Well done. Okay, so this person said, I ended up having both of the things I've told myself I need to stop, takeaways and sweets. So there's a couple of things I just want to pick up on with this one. The language we use for ourselves is really, really important. So this person said, I've told myself I need to stop. So firstly, we don't need or want to ban ourselves from anything. And this is why doing that can be really difficult. Rather than I need to stop, I would like to cut back on is a much more positive way of saying this. My question to you is, think about how you can manage your environment so that these things are not the easiest option. Okay, so if it's a takeaway, Most often that's because we're not planned or organised for dinner that day, right? So how can you be more planned and organised for dinner? If it's sweets, are the sweets around because of the kids? Can the sweets be put somewhere else? You know, I encourage a lot of my clients to give each of their children their own little Tupperware where their sweets and their chocolate and their biscuits go, and they are labelled with the child's name. And therefore, if you are going into that sweet box, you physically have to look at the name on the box, which is the name of your child, and you know you are taking their sweets, their chocolate, their biscuits. So how can you manage your environment so that these things aren't the easiest option? I have the tendency to use a good workout or body composition progress as an excuse to eat junk food. Okay, so you said this yourself, you're using this as an excuse. You're using food as a reward. So what else can you reward yourself with? Because using food as a reward, particularly when you are trying to lose body fat and improve your body composition, is dangerous. So consider how counterintuitive the statement is, right? Considering the journey you're on. I'm trying to lose body fat and improve my body composition, so I'm going to reward myself with junk food, which will do exactly the opposite of my goal. So rather than using food as a reward, can we intentionally plan in some of those things we really enjoy? So you've talked about takeaways and sweets. You know, there's one person on this program actually has a takeaway every week. In fact, a lot of my clients have a takeaway every week. Plan it in. That's my takeaway day. That's what I'm going to eat on that takeaway, and I'm going to enjoy it. Plan in these foods that you really enjoy, that you see as a reward and as a treat, so that this will help you to stop seeing them as a reward and as a treat, and instead something that you look forward to every once in a while. I was talking to one of my one-to-one clients this week, and she loves a Nando's. She absolutely loves Nando's, and before working with me would have eaten Nando's a good couple of times a week. And now she's got it down to, you know, at most once a week, but more often than not, it's once a fortnight. And she enjoys that Nando's so much more because it is planned, it's looked forward to, but it's also not something that she does 2 or 3 times a week. So she has the opportunity to really look forward to it. You hear the saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's absolutely true of food and you know, if it's your poison drink. So, you know, how can you limit your indulgences? You know, plan them in. Whilst nothing is banned, nothing is off the table. Unless you're allergic to it, then don't eat it. Nothing's banned, nothing's off the table. But we need to be really realistic here. And we need to understand that compromise is absolutely necessary. If you want to get to your goals, you do need to change some of your habits and behaviours. And so if you are used to rewarding yourself with food for a good workout, or, you know, a good day at work, or this or that, you need to start changing that. And one of the best ways of changing food as a reward is just to plan in and choose your indulgences wisely. And plan them in and look forward to them. Give yourself the chance to look forward to it. Like people say, the anticipation of a holiday is often more exciting than the holiday itself. So the anticipation of looking forward to that planned takeaway is going to work for you so much better than rewarding yourself for whatever it is you've done that's good. And then just like completely opposite to this, someone has said, I had a horrible Chinese takeaway one night, but I wish I'd made something different. I blamed lack of time. There is nothing more disappointing and horrible than eating something that you feel was just a complete waste of calories, and that you could have eaten probably something homemade for twice as much food for the same amount of calories and enjoyed it more. So think about that I mean, you'll never order from that Chinese again, right? But think about this when you are making excuses that you don't want to, you know, that you can't eat this or you can't eat that, or you don't have time for this, you don't have time for that. The alternative is often not as nice as actually just doing it yourself. Okay, so I'm really enjoying lifting weights and want to start focusing more on this. What would you recommend I start with? I'll be heading to the gym to use the weights. So in the resources section of the app, there's gym workouts, which will take you through the basic movements that work. It doesn't need to be complicated. I recommend that you don't sign up for a load of classes. You just get into the gym and start lifting weights. Another question. There's been some chat in the group around Greek yogurt. Yum. I prefer the 10% fat as it tastes so good and I find it keeps me fuller for longer. Is this okay? So, as I've mentioned before, I need a sip of water. You know, nothing's banned. There's no good or bad. And there's never anything that I'm going to say, you should have this, not that. But this comes down to the bigger picture, which I'm always encouraging my clients to think about. You know, it's not about one individual meal. It's about the meals that you choose in the course of a day, in the course of a week, over the course of a month. Okay. And I do think with things like Greek yogurt, mayonnaise, cheese, like those high fat, Greek yogurt isn't high fat, but what we're talking about here is the fat content of Greek yogurt. But those things that perhaps the calories can be quite different. So for example, mayonnaise is a really good example. I actually eat vegan mayonnaise, and you don't get, that I've seen, light vegan mayonnaise. But say with your regular Hellmann's, you've got Hellmann's regular, you've got Hellmann's light, you've got Hellmann's lightest, right? If you really detest the taste of Hellmann's lightest mayonnaise, you only like full fat mayonnaise, eat the full fat, just eat less of it, okay? If you really despise the taste of half fat cheese, and who can blame you, eat regular cheese, just eat less of it, okay? The same goes with milk. You know, we don't drink skimmed milk in this house because it's like water. We drink semi-skimmed. I also wouldn't drink whole milk because I don't really like milk, but in my tea I have semi-skimmed milk because skimmed milk makes the tea taste funny and whole milk tastes like someone's put cream in my tea. So it's about, some of this is about personal preference, but so the example I gave is that I much prefer the taste of 5% yogurt to 5% Greek yogurt to 0% Greek yogurt. And because with my breakfast, I don't at the moment add honey or protein powder to sweeten it, it's worth the extra 40 or so calories to me to eat 5% Greek yogurt over 0% Greek yogurt. Okay, so don't overthink it. Think bigger picture. However, on the topic of Greek yogurt, it's worth knowing some of the fats. And this is why tracking your calories is actually... Sorry, I just feel like something's bitten me on my leg. Ow. No, maybe not. This is also why tracking your calories is a really useful tool. And I know not everyone wants to, nor does everyone choose to, and that's fine. So the bigger picture here is that 0% Greek yogurt has the highest amount of protein and the lowest amount of calories by 140 calories compared to the 10% one, right? The 10% has the lowest protein and the highest calories at, the 0% for 200 grams has about 20 grams of protein, and I think I looked it up, it was like about 130 calories, okay? The 10% yogurt has the lowest protein at 13 grams, so 7 grams less for a 200 gram serving than the 10%. and it's 264 calories. So it's 140 calories more than the 0% per 200 grams. That's a lot. That really is a lot. It's double the calories, right? At least. Yes, double the calories, almost. So I agree with you. The 10% yogurt is delicious. But for me, personally, I could, especially because I'm not adding protein powder to my breakfast at the moment, if I had 200 grams of that Greek yogurt for my breakfast with berries and a sprinkling of something crunchy, that would only be about 15 grams of protein for me, and I need more than that, and you need more than that. You should be having, about at least 25 grams of protein per meal, so especially for breakfast. So that's why I opt for the 5%, which is middle of the road for me. Because to get the extra protein from that 10% yogurt, I would need to add protein powder to it, which seems to defeat the point of the flavour being better. So I agree, like it tastes really creamy and everything. But if you're having the 10% yogurt, how are you getting the rest of your protein in? Now that might sound really geeky. And yes, I did sit here and work it all out, how much all of the calories were and all of that. But it's a really good point because, you do get certain versions of different foods that have different amounts of calories and protein and fat in them. And it is worth looking at. So, for example, the total Greek yogurt, they do a 0%, a 2%, a 5%. I've never seen a 10%, but I know Aldi do a 0% and a 10%. And honestly, the 10% Aldi does taste a bit like you're eating cream. It's lovely. And I would say the reason it's possibly keeping you full up is because the higher fat content, it's actually quite rich, so you don't need as much. But I would say, particularly as I don't know that you eat 200 grams of it, I would say you might be better off thinking about moving to the 5% or the 0%. Okay, so I think this might be, oh no, it's not our last one. I love to have bacon. So I've messaged this person because I didn't quite understand their question, because they've said, I love to have bacon and cascading toast for my lunch. I think that was a typo. I don't know what cascading toast is, but please message me if anyone does know what cascading toast is. But the protein content isn't high, so back to protein and where we need to be eating at least 25 grams of protein per meal. I don't do eggs, so I was wondering if there's something I can add to this to complement it rather than just adding chicken, ham or something on the side. So as I said in our group chat, questions like this are great for the group chat rather than me. Like, example, I don't eat bacon, so I have no, I don't know what this meal is. I also do eat eggs, so I would, if I was eating turkey bacon, for example, I would add eggs to that. So this is why using the group of ladies in the community is a much better use of a question like this than just asking me to answer it. But the other thing I would say is look through the protein cheat sheet and the nutrition guide to help you build your meals. Ask in the group, but also it doesn't have to be on the same plate. So it could be something that you have as a little lunchtime pudding. So for example, last week I was really into my poached eggs on toast, and I had run out of turkey rashers, which with 3 eggs, 2 turkey rashers, like that does my protein for that meal. I would make sure that you're thinking about, well, what can you have on the side? Because when I ran out of turkey rashers, I was having my 3 eggs on toast, and then I was having a little lunchtime dessert of a protein yogurt. And I can't remember if you are one of those people that doesn't like the thickness of some of the protein yogurts, but I found Lindal's Kvarg I got it from Ocado, but I think they also do it in Tesco's and Sainsbury's. It is a slightly different texture to some of the thicker protein yogurts, I think. So it doesn't have to be something on the same plate. It could be something you have after that piece of lunch. Okay, so now I'm back at work full time. I'm interested to know more about circadian rhythm. You mentioned this in a podcast a while back and it really interested me. Would you recommend waking at the same time every day, even on a weekend, if I get the opportunity to sleep in? Will this help me feel more energized? My urge to put my standing desk down and sit down, like pull up a chair and talk about this, is overwhelming me right now, because I love talking about stuff like this. This is my jam, like things like sleep and stuff. So, great question. Everyone has a circadian rhythm and everyone is slightly different. Okay, so you can retrain yours, but it takes time. And I maintain that everyone has a natural preference. So Emma, who has just moved from our community to the Last Diet Club for some higher level of support, she is most definitely a night owl. Okay, she, I believe, was in the gym at 11 a.m. the other day. And 11 p.m. until 1 a.m. the other day. You ain't ever going to find me in a gym at 1 a.m. in the morning, right? I am an early bird. I am up with the larks and I'm most productive in the morning. I do not like working out at night. I don't like doing much of anything at night. But the first thing that I would say to this person to remind them, not that they need reminding, is you have 2 very small children. And if you have a bad night or a couple of them, I always think getting sleep where you can is the right thing to do. But research does show that having a similar bedtime and wake time each and every day is what is most beneficial. Will it keep you more energized? There are so many other factors involved in the answer to that question. So I'm not going to promise you that that will help, that will make you feel more energized. But just like babies, our bodies like routine. Everyone is completely different. And some people, like me, can't sleep in. So occasionally I might fall back to sleep if I wake up super early. Like this morning I woke up at 10 to 5, managed to fall back to sleep for a bit. But I rarely will sleep past 6 a.m. And I'm currently trying to retrain my sleep pattern to sleep in a little later, which is taking its time, because for years and years and years, even during COVID, when I didn't need to, I was getting up at 5 a.m. So what I might suggest to you is maybe start by keeping your bedtimes the same, because I think going back to work, you are going to find that tiring. And then maybe get up in the week at the same time. So rather than thinking, oh, it's Friday, the traffic's easier, I don't need to get up quite so early. You know, like me, I get up on a Monday and a Friday at 5:45, and I'm trying to make sure that I do that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as well, with the aim of being able to just wake up naturally at about 6 o'clock, because at the moment it's still around 5 a.m. And then don't set an alarm for your weekends and see how long you sleep for, or how long the kids let you sleep for. Okay, but yes, it does help. And then second part of this question, I'm cancelling the HIIT class sessions and going back to doing weights at the gym. I'll do 2 to 3 gym sessions and 8 to 10k steps a day. Will that be enough? Do I need to drop my calories? 2 to 3 gym sessions are perfect. 8 to 10k steps are brilliant. No need to change your calories. Well done. And I think that this will also really help you to manage your energy, because HIIT classes are really, really taxing on the body. They expend a lot of energy. They take a lot of recovery. So I think this is great. Okay, last question. I believe, is it? Yes. Right, I've tried a couple of short runs over the last couple of weeks and my hip seems to be holding up, which is great as I really have missed running. I want to step this up again, but time-wise it's going to be hard to add this on top of the 3 to 4 strength sessions a week. Is it okay to drop to 2 to 3 sessions and then 2 longer runs each week? Or maybe drop 1 strength session down to 10-15 minutes, just to allow for the time for me to build up my running? I would say ideally you're doing 3 strength sessions with 2 runs. However, build up the running slowly and remember the strength sessions will help with the hip and the running. Great questions there, ladies. Thank you so much. If you have any questions for me, if you want my help to mum boss your life, to lose weight in a way that is not restrictive, is not faddy, is not all or nothing, help you to reset your mindset and get in the best shape of your life, check out the links in the show notes. I would love to help you. I am planning a second podcast release this week. I had to let some of those go over the last couple of weeks, but I am definitely doing more than one this week. So have a great week, everyone. Mwah. See you later.